I didn't know I was coming
morning.
up here.
Thank you for agreeing to do this.
You're welcome.
So I invited you to tell one of your many stories today. You shared it in Bible study a couple of weeks ago, and I think it illustrates who Jesus is as one who comes and comforts us better than any story I could ever tell. So would you tell your story?
Well, a lot of you know I'm a 10-year breast cancer survivor, and when I was offered the option of 32 days of radiation or 5 days, twice a day, I chose the balloon that they inserted where the tumor had been, and it had some tubes coming out of it, and I was going to go have the radiation put in the tubes twice a day for the next 5 days. So I get to my first time, and it's in the basement of the office building, and there were 2 guys there, and one was my doctor, one was another young man, and it took the 2 of them to open the door to this room where I was going to spend the next bit of time. The door was about a foot thick, and I went in. There was a chair in the middle, kind of like a dentist chair, and he said, sit down. There was a TV. I brought a book to read, and there was a canister with the radiation in it. So the doctor hooked the radiation up to these tubes that were sticking out of my body, and I sat there and watched it looked like little pencil lead that came out and went into my body. And so 12 minutes later, they opened the door and I was out. So that was Monday morning, then Monday afternoon, then Tuesday morning, and Tuesday afternoon was the killer for me. I went in the room, and after they shut the door, I thought about the lead-lined 10 by 10 room that I was in with no door handle to get out. I was in there by myself watching the radiation come into my body, and I lost it. I was twitching in my chair. I was just beyond, I can't do this. And the doctor had a camera and he was watching, and he said, I can take you out, but then you have to do the 32 days. And I said, I'm thinking, okay, I'm in this room. I can't do this anymore. I guess I'm going to have to do the 32 days. I just was beyond knowing what to do. And why I didn't think of this earlier, I said, Jesus, you got to take me out of here. You got to get me through this. You've got to comfort me. You got to be here. And I can't tell you, it was 10 seconds later, I just felt him wrap his arms around me and say, it'll be okay. And I sat there in that chair, and it was just a few minutes later, the doctor came in and they opened the door, and I was out of my tomb. I went back the next day, but I went back with Jesus with me. And I walked in with him instead of just walking in that room. I knew he was with me, and so Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, I was able to go in and at least have that peaceful feeling that they were going to open the door and that I was going to get out. And this next twinge was the last day when they were going to pull all that stuff out of me. But I knew that I could just call on his name and he would be there. And he was. And it was the most horrible week, but the most grace-filled week that I've ever had.
Thank you for sharing your story. I have one more question for you. As you've encountered other experiences over the past 10 years where you have perhaps felt like you were stuck in a dark place, how has that experience, that profound experience of Jesus coming to you and comforting you exactly when you needed him, been helpful for you?
Well, I go to him first instead of waiting for a day and a half until I call on his name. And obviously a lot of you know a lot of my story about Africa and whatever, and he has been there for me, and I don't know how people live without him. So
thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
you.